Hello, Internet. Gonna do kind of a sideways video today. I posted a bunch of screenshots of our base to the Omnifactory Discord, and I ended up getting a lot of questions about how I designed it. And so I figured I'd take a little bit of time to just show the thought process I've been applying to the design. And hopefully that helps people if they're interested. So what I want to start with is this is what Lost Cities looks like when you find it. You have a lot of buildings that have kind of a weird design. They're usually even on one axis, odd on the other axis. They're covered in vines, and they all have glass pane, stained glass windows. The streets have this 6-block wide kind of street pattern going on, and then smaller features tend to be in 4-block units, and then some other random stuff like windows and such can often even be in 2-block units. And so I don't love even ratios in Minecraft. I much prefer odd design ratios. That's because of cabling in mods specifically. I think in normal Minecraft it doesn't really matter, and chunks in Minecraft are 16 by 16, so it does kind of make sense that if you look at the code that actually generates these Lost Cities chunks, they're all chunk based, so it makes sense that it uses some weird maths to kind of make it all mesh together. That said, I'm not a huge fan, but I like the overall aesthetic of it. I think this street layout, the walls on the sides of the chunks, I think it's really cool. I think it adds a lot of character and consistency to the world. And so when I started building out the aesthetics of our reclaimed city, I really heavily leaned on what was already there. So if I build on a server, I generally kind of try to pick a theme. For example, in our applied energistics, or not applied energistics, in our Enigmatica 2 expert server that we were playing, we found a cubone skull that was about the size of this building, and everything around the base stemmed off of that supersize approach, right? So everything was big, everything was maximalist, and in this pack I've been going more for how do I reclaim the city, how do I make the reclaimed city look nice, and kind of, what decisions do we make? So you can see the first thing is this 6x4 motif. That's what I've gone with. I designed most things to fit with either a 4 length, or if you look at the lights here that I've put in, there's a 3 space. And so every once in a while you end up with a weird section here. But so like these streets, every intersection of all the streets is a ring or a square made out of a 4x4 of these light blocks, and then I fill in the space in between coming out from each light block. I go 3, that one goes 3, it goes 3, here's the part where it messes up. So like for the city, I just filled in the pattern that was already there and extended my pattern out using each of these intersections as kind of the source. So you'll see there's a lot of 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, and again that's because of the chunk generation. So for the street pattern, that's it. By using the same materials broadly, we're keeping consistency, and then from a foliage perspective, you can do whatever you want. I made fake bushes, right? Like I just took leaves, put them down. So some of that was already there, some of it I enforced a pattern on, and then to inject some randomness in it, I'd grab bone meal and just grow the grass back up so it looks like we're slowly reclaiming this whole thing. And so what are these? These are colored light blocks. These are really easy to make in this pack. once you get to a certain point, and they're fantastic. They're just a lighting source that blends in. So if I switch over to nighttime, it just makes it so that it's very easy to keep things lit and to keep spawns under control. We could use torches, but I just decided we're reclaiming a city, let's do it with lights. The other thing is that this 3-4-3 pattern works really well with mob spawning. So I just hit F7 to turn on the little thing that tells you your light levels. And so it just happens that a staggered 3 blocks, if you actually offset them, so if you do 3, 3, 3, and then put another 3 in, like right there, and then put another one there, another one there, that will perfectly prevent darkness without, you know, going too crazy. So it gives you a pattern. So that's the outside. For the buildings, I have been replacing the stained glass windows with enlightened glass, and I pick a color and I use it for the whole building. And so in this case, you know, this is pretty straightforward, right? Like each building gets a color theme. It gets the enlightened glass. The enlightened glass gives off light, so it also helps you not have just 270 million light sources. I think that's completely an aesthetic choice. There's a whole bunch of ways you could handle that. So once we go inside, I've just extended the patterns that already exist. So it's just like clearing out interior walls, putting in the glass. I would say that this building here is actually a failure because I have some really janky stuff going on with how it all works out. Like these are actually holes that you can fall down, which is a design thing I hate. So you can see up here I filled them in, but in other places I haven't, and it bugs me to no end. And then this garden was simply just extending, using a chunk that was already there, just extending the motif, adding my own little touch. I kind of broke the 3 rule here because this was one of the first things I built. But so then I think where other people had some questions was, so for the ceiling lights, again, these are kind of haphazard. I just picked one ring that goes around each stairwell here, and these stairs were in the building. We didn't add these, they were just here. I just made this ring, and then I used the light level monitor on the floor to figure out where to put other lights. I think if we go through different levels of the building, you'll see like this level's kind of a train wreck. This level, more train wreck, and who knows why there's multiples there. I haven't completely cleaned everything up yet. But so I kind of try to make sure that we're completely lit. Like one of the first things I did in this building when we rebuilt the server was completely light up every room. So the building's pretty boring. I just pretty much extended what was there. Like we're building all our facades out of quartz, right? Just to match the floor, because the floor was quartz. The wall here just prevents you from, you know, we have dark iron armor, dark steel armor, so this is to prevent you from like kind of doing weird stuff with the geometry here because of the auto step and what have you. But yeah, so the building's pretty boring. I just replaced things. One nice trick is to occasionally go through, get this cracked and mossy stone and replace it. If you build something with a exchanger or any of the building tools that use a single block type, just go in and throw some of these in randomly. It really helps break up the visual appeal. But so then if we go down to the stuff that I've really done, starting here. So the way this whole thing started was we had this basement, which was here. We knocked all the walls out. And then one day I did the thing when you start a server where I just dug a hole straight to bedrock. I usually do that on servers because then it makes it really easy to create a shaft to go try and find height-dependent minerals. And then one day I got my flux bore because I got tired of hammers, and I had so much fun with the flux bore that in the footprint of the building, I tunneled straight down to bedrock, cleared it all out. Probably took like half an hour while I was watching Netflix or something. And then for that other underground area, you can't see it anymore because of the arboretum I've built, but this arboretum's footprint was another set of ruins. So I just said, hey, the footprint's there. Let's aesthetically extend the footprint. So I did that. I'll come back to the arboretum. So if we come down here, this is the main building, and then all of this was under other ruins. And so I cleared this out. And then the pattern on the floor, again, is entirely based on using lighting levels. So I started out from a center axis, and I laid this line out, and then I moved over a bit, and I put in an offset pattern here, and then did it over here, and it lit up the whole place. And I put these light bars in so that each tier in here that we walk around, you get lighting on both. One thing that I don't like is this facade. This is a different brick pattern solely so that we know where I hid that wire. And now that I know how to use Yeta wrenches better, I'll probably get rid of it at some point. But and then from aesthetics of like the floor, the ceiling, the wall, I try to make most of my builds have maybe 2 or 3 contrasting or complementary things, right? So I like this brick, I like wood, I think the colors work well together. Bam, there you go. Just build it out. And then things like this little step down, is just me realizing that the original space we built here for these DML machines, we wanted to have 2 layers because 2 layers would completely capture every output with some extra, and it turned out trying to set up these drawers just had to go down a level. So instead of just making it a pit, I added stairs and continued the light motif so that it looks like it was originally planned that way, but it wasn't. And then so like in this area, like I'm using glass to help with the lighting, the enlightened glass, and then I just used a different chisel pattern on the brick to offset the look so that there's a visual cue that you're in a different place. So if you're like doing stuff, you walk away from the computer, you come back, there's a visual cue here that you're doing a different thing. And then if we go down a level, same pattern. This originally had the same footprint. I've expanded it since. But so I switched the floor. And all I did was just pick a different set of blocks, in this case lab blocks because this is a chemical lab. And then I use these floor designs. They key off of these teleporters. So on this floor, we have the axes are a different color block, and then on this floor a different color chisel, and when I get around to building the next floor, I'll be doing the same thing. And so I also try to design each floor slightly differently, just again so you have very minor visual cues as to what's going on, and you can really tell what I built and what the other guys built. It's like this is a floor I designed and built. Very modular, kind of clean. I haven't fixed this yet, I know. I put a different color set of blocks in here for the transition hallway to this room, and this is a ramen room. Like, no aesthetics. Sorry, ramen. He'll agree with me, but you know, no aesthetics. It's simply a space carved out with stuff put in it, and that's ramen, right? Like, so what'll probably happen is I'll come back in here at some point and clean this whole place up, and extend the floor, or maybe give it a different color floor because that's a DML room, not a main room. And then you have things like over here, like again, this is my room. You can tell it's mine because this gantry, I built it out, I made it symmetrical, I made sure it aesthetically kind of all followed a pattern. If we go into the DML room back here, just just carved out. No lighting, torches. So I think that's a great example of this looks more cohesive. I'm not going to say better, right? Because I think style is completely subjective. But I had a cohesive idea here. And I mean, you can see problems. Like, I didn't fix that brick. And like, this is a outlier from my normal design. But I carry a design pattern through the whole room. And it's very little work, right? Like, all it is putting in some light blocks, making the floor the same, spacing the lights evenly, and then Ramen just has torches everywhere, which is fine, right? Like, we get working. Oh, what's this? Tunnel to Io's place. I've never seen this. Yeah, so like you can tell, yeah, Ramen built all this. It's just stuff hidden. I also like exposing everything. I like approaching stuff from the perspective of, hey, if I had to build these machines, I might want to actually access them really easily when we change them. And you can see that the most in this room, where every bay is designed to be completely accessible. They're oversized, specifically so I can just get in here and tinker with stuff. Yeah, so that's that. Let's go check out the road to Io, because Io built some stuff, and I haven't actually seen it yet. So he carved a tunnel. He used light blue terracotta. Now see, I like this. It's a completely different style, but it's a style. So that's cool. It's a little monotonous, but it's a long tunnel, and holy cow. So Io has been building his own little setup over here, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure what he's doing. He's apparently plugged in just item conduit, nothing else. So Io, how do we get around here? What if I go up? Nothing there. So he's just got a huge space. He might not be actively using... Oh, what do we got down here? Some deep mob learning. So he's been using some of the glass. So he's using glass in the floor instead of light blocks in the floor. He's got his own ME system. Look at this. I like it. Just kind of doing his own thing over here. Fun. Yeah, okay, so how do I get out? I go here. So just a different approach, but still perfectly valid, right? So this is quite the tunnel. Doobie doobie doo. There we go. Oh, jeez, what did I do? Too many buttons. So again, like, I don't do anything earth-shattering, or at least I don't think it's earth-shattering. I'll show that in a minute. The thing that probably got people paying attention. The other thing that I find really nice to do is if you're going to design storage like this, I probably talked about it before, but make all the drawers on one wall the same, but give them different frames. Again, just little cues to yourself. I think when I built this, we couldn't change these. I might need to fix them. But these different colors are just little cues to remind you where you're looking. So once you get used to running around a room like this, if you're looking at this wall, you know, that's how I get to the ME. If I'm looking at this wall, that's how I get to the ME. You know, just like super minor things. So in here, again, like we have 4 different walls, 4 different color shelves. Very minor, and in this case, like, the faceplate is keyed to dirt because this is all ore. And this faceplate is wood because it's all natural-ish type stuff. And this is a different wood, and this is all of our building stuff. And this is metal because these are all dusts, right? Like, they're just mental mnemonics. And I think if you come up with weird little mental mnemonics that help you think through what you're doing, it helps you achieve consistency in your builds. So again, really all that I did in this entire server is things are spaced by 3 blocks. You can really see it in this room. Everything is spaced by 3 or 5. And it's just a consistency, right? Like, it's a very consistent room. And you can expand it really quickly and easily without thinking. You can just get out your flux bore, mine some shit, put some stuff down, boom, you're done. Yeah, so that's kind of how I approach design. Pick a theme, pick some ratios, and build. And keep it simple so you can get a lot done really quick. So now let's talk about fun stuff. I am building a periodic table of elements in Minecraft, and we're starting to get somewhere. So we're right at ending medium voltage, getting into high voltage. I'm solidifying fluids to get them in there, so like hydrogen, then we got, carbon, God, I can't even remember now, but gold, silver, copper, all these things. I gotta come up with a better way to do this, because I think, unfortunately, this glass, which I'm using to kind of block things and provide light, is also obscuring the ability to see the elements, but it's a periodic table like this. And I just found a color scheme that I liked. So you'll see, we've got hydrogen is colored differently because hydrogen usually is, and then the colors just kind of transition slowly as you go through each type of element. And then we've got our fun, crazy, weirdo elements down here. So that's the periodic table we're working on. And from the back side, it's not even done yet. It's just stone. So I'll probably come up with a cooler way to do that. And then another design piece, and this is something I really love doing, is designing stuff for no reason at all. Just making things look nice. Here I built an arboretum, and all of the supports and stuff are just keyed based on the footprints of the space. The only thing I kind of made up on my own was this riser setup, so it's, I'm trying to get a little bit of an arch in there. So this is 3, that's 2, that's 1, and then just connect it all. And then these decks that I made over the water, I'm using that 3 spacing motif again, right? So like I figured out where the pylon was going, and then I just go back 3 support, 3 support, 3 support, da 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 da, and I just repeat it. And so the thing ends up looking, except for that part, which is kind of screwed up, and sometimes you end up with this, but you end up with a pretty cohesive look. And in fact, I think what I could probably do here is push this one out 1, so then we would have 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Maybe not, it might not work out. Sometimes you have to play with prime numbers or odd numbers and get a ratio to fix it, but yeah, you pick a theme and everything kind of works. And then the arboretum, we were trying to figure out what to do with this space, and I decided, hey, instead of building something functional, let's just build a little arboretum and enclose it in glass so there's no monsters, and just put some stuff in. And again, you can see that the blocks are actually here breaking my normal design pattern, which in this case I think is fine because it's supposed to be a visual accent. So it's kind of bookended by the decks that follow the design cues, but inside here it's its own weird little different thing. Yeah. So there you go. Those are some thoughts about designing in Minecraft. I've built all sorts of stuff. I've built huge towers. I used to build a lot of wizards towers in various tech packs that also had magic in them. I built a lot of castles and stuff like that. So again, it's finding your ratios, I think, is really key. So I've said that a bajillion times in here, but find your ratios, use your ratios, and when possible, build into the environment. I think that's the other really key thing, right? So if you want your stuff to look organic, if that's what you're going for, use the contours of the land, build into it, don't just wipe it flat. And you'll get a much more organic looking structure. So anyway, that was a whole lot of me talking about design. I didn't design that. I did not set that up. So there you go. Yeah, that's my minor thoughts on design in Minecraft. If you have questions, let me know. Again, I'm not a designer by trade. I don't do anything like that. I actually work with data all day. So this is more just kind of, even talking through this has made me think about it a little bit. But yeah, this is the results of just picking that 4:3:4 ratio, using the streets and using what's there and kind of going. Ooh, what is this? What have you done? Blue carpet. Fun. A travel anchor? I haven't used that yet. Man, so did he put blue carpet? Oh my god. See, this is what happens. I joked that he made a parking garage, because before this was just concrete with, it was just the terracotta with lights in it. So from the distance, it just looked entirely like, interesting. He's using a bunch of stuff we haven't even touched. It looked like a giant parking garage over here. And so he went back, added some carpet, added some lights, and this is starting to, at least it has a theme, right? Like he's carrying blue through, he's using kind of a bluish cyan glass, blue carpet, blue terracotta. So he's got a theme. He's doing it. Hey, I'll say hi. Showing your building to the internets. I like it. So there you go. I don't think I have anything else to say about design right now. And, maybe one thing. Plants. I think it's important with plants that even if you have regularity in how you space them, you need to make sure they're irregular up top. Otherwise it looks like a video game. So this one may be a bit too much, but like this area right here, I love it. It's irregular. The trees were planted regularly, but they've grown to a point where they look kind of funky, and that's what real trees look like. And then, obviously here I just put a dirt block there and grew it on top, right? Like that's how I did that. Yeah. So plants, put slight irregularities in unless you want it to look perfectly manicured. Because if you make it look perfectly manicured, it starts to look weird. That's why I put grass in these bushes. They looked too good, so I had to mess it up a bit. So anyway, I hope that this was useful for some of the people who are asking questions if they watch it, at least about how I think about this stuff. If you have other questions, let me know. Obviously, this is like a work in progress. It's a server we're actively playing. It's not an art piece, but yeah, and to all the people who were nice on the Discord, thank you. I guess I appreciate it. It's very nice to have people be interested in silly things you do in your spare time. So have fun, Internet, and stay safe out there with everything going on.